You're sitting at the massive mahogany table at the title company. Your hand is literally cramping from signing your name 42 times on a stack of legal documents that's thicker than a dictionary. You just handed over a hard-earned $80,000 down payment, and the real estate agent slides a set of shiny new keys across the desk. You take a quick picture for Instagram with the caption, "Finally a homeowner, building generational wealth." You drive to your new house, walk through the empty living room, and you feel like a millionaire. You feel like you just bought your biggest financial asset. But look, I hate to be the one to break this to you. What if I told you that you didn't just buy an asset? What if I told you that you just signed up for a 30-year liability masquerading as wealth? My name is Jeffrey, and I spend way too much time thinking about the mathematics of wealth building. If you're someone who feels like you are doing everything right but still aren't getting ahead financially, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. From the time we are kids, society drills a very specific financial script into our heads. Go to school, get a good job, save up, and buy a house. We are told over and over again that renting is just throwing money away, and your house is your biggest asset. But let's look at the strict accounting definition of an asset versus a liability. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket every single month, whether you work or not. Think dividend stocks, cash-flowing rental properties, or a business. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket every single month. Does your primary residence send you a check on the first of the month? No. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It demands money from you constantly. Let's stop talking in theories and look at the actual math. Let's say you buy a modest house for $400,000. You put 20% down, which is $80,000, leaving you with a $320,000 mortgage. Right now, a standard 30-year fixed mortgage rate is sitting right around 7%. This is where it gets really interesting. Over the course of 30 years, you're not just paying back that $320,000 to the bank. At a 7% interest rate, you're going to pay roughly $446,000 in interest alone. That means you're paying the bank $766,000 just for the privilege of borrowing their money. But wait, we're just getting started. You also have to pay property taxes. The national average for property taxes in the United States is roughly 1.1% of the home's value per year. On a $400,000 home, that's $4,400 a year. Over 30 years, that's $132,000 literally paid to the government. And that's assuming your taxes never go up, which we all know is a fantasy. Then there's maintenance. The golden rule of real estate is to expect to spend 1% of your home's value every year on upkeep. The roof leaks, the HVAC system dies in the middle of July, the water heater explodes. That's $4,000 a year or $120,000 over 30 years. Add about $1,500 a year for homeowners insurance, which is another $45,000 over 3 decades. When you add up the down payment, the principal, the interest, the taxes, the maintenance, and the insurance, your $400,000 house actually cost you over $1,143,000. So why do we all collectively ignore this math? Why does your uncle swear that buying his house was his greatest financial triumph? It comes down to human psychology. Most people are terrible at saving money. If they have an extra $500 in their checking account, they will find a way to spend it on restaurants, car payments, or vacations. A mortgage acts as a forced savings account. Because the bank threatens to take your home away if you don't pay, you are forced to build equity slowly over 30 years. When your uncle sells his house 30 years later for $800,000, he feels rich. He sees the $800,000 check and forgets about the $1,143,000 he spent on interest, taxes, insurance, and repairs to get there. He actually lost money to inflation, but the psychology of receiving a large lump sum blinds him to the mathematical reality. Here's what most people don't realize. The true tragedy of treating your primary home as an investment isn't just the money you spend on the house, it is the money you didn't make because your cash was trapped in the drywall. In finance, we call this opportunity cost. Treating your primary home as your main wealth-building tool is like using a sledgehammer to drive in a screw. It might technically work eventually, but it's the wrong tool for the job, and it is terribly inefficient. Historically, real estate appreciates at about 3 to 4% a year. That barely keeps up with normal inflation. You aren't gaining purchasing power, you're just treading water. Meanwhile, the S&P 500, which is the broader stock market, has historically returned an average of about 10% per year. If you had taken that original $80,000 down payment and just invested it in an S&P 500 index fund, assuming a conservative 8% return over 30 years, that $80,000 would grow to over $805,000, and you wouldn't have had to fix a single toilet or pay a dime in property taxes on it along the way. Now, you might be thinking, but Jeffrey, if I don't buy, I have to rent, and renting is paying 100% interest. I'm just paying my landlord's mortgage. I get it. It is frustrating to write a check to a landlord every month, but we need to reframe how we view renting. Rent is not throwing money away. Rent is paying for a service, shelter. When you buy a hamburger, you don't say you threw money away because you don't own the restaurant. You exchanged money for something you needed. When you rent, your rent payment is the maximum you will pay for housing that month. When you own a home, your mortgage payment is the minimum you will pay for housing that month. If the roof caves in on a rental, you make a phone call. If the roof caves in on a house you own, you write a check for $15,000.
Renting gives you flexibility. It allows you to keep your housing costs low, meaning you can take the difference between an expensive mortgage and a cheaper rent and aggressively invest that money into true cash-flowing assets. Look, I am not slightly frustrated because I hate houses. I own a home. I love my home. I am frustrated because the financial industry has tricked millions of average, hard-working people into becoming house poor. People sink every dollar they have into a massive house, leaving them with absolutely nothing left to invest in actual wealth-building assets. So how do we fix this? Here are 3 actionable steps you can apply right now. Step 1. Decouple housing from investing. Stop looking at Zillow expecting your primary residence to fund your retirement. Buy a home because you want a place to paint the walls, raise your kids, and plant a garden. Treat it as a lifestyle expense, not a retirement plan. Once you accept it is an expense, you will naturally make more rational decisions about how much house you actually need. Step 2. Never become house poor. Do not listen to the bank when they tell you how much you are approved to borrow. Banks want you in maximum debt because that is how they make maximum profit. Follow the 28% rule. Your total housing payment, including principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, should never exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. If it does, you are stealing from your future self to pay for the roof over your head today. Step 3. Run a true cost audit. Before you decide whether to buy or rent, sit down with a calculator. Figure out the unrecoverable costs of buying in your specific area. Add up the property taxes, the 1% for maintenance, the insurance, and the interest. Compare that total number to the cost of renting an equivalent place. If renting is significantly cheaper, rent and invest the difference in the stock market. Look, building real wealth isn't about following the outdated advice of your grandparents. The economic realities of the 1980s are completely gone. If you want to achieve financial freedom today, you have to look past the illusion. You need cash-flowing assets, not heavy, expensive liabilities that keep you chained to a desk for 30 years just to pay the property taxes. You have the power to change your financial trajectory, but it starts with changing how you view your money. If this video opened your eyes, or even if it just made you a little angry at the system, please hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. Are you currently renting or do you own a home? And how much is it actually costing you? Stay smart, run the math for yourself, and I will see you in the next video.